Welcome, guys, to the first episode of DNA Densetsu no Anime, Episode 1. I'm Brandon.
I'm Gene.
Oscar.
And I'm Rob.
And we're here to talk to you guys about Gangsta, one of the newest animes that just got through. Now, yeah. Alright, Gene, one sentence to describe Gangsta.
Well, I mean, like, basically...
This show is pretty fucking gangsta.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. It's gangsta.
Give a discretion advice.
Yeah, your discretion advice.
Yeah, he likes to curse a lot.
Yeah, that's just how
Fucking advice!
That's just how it is. So, Robert, you recently got through seeing Gangsta. Just impressions, not spoiler right now.
I love it a lot. I really wish that some studio would pick it up for a second season because the studio got so.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about later on during the video, but.
So before he goes on,
Rest
just
in
guys,
peace, MacLeod.
rest in peace, MacLeod. Like, pour one out for MacLeod for right now. But we just wanted to discuss real quick that for this first half, we're just going to be talking about like the general themes of the show, stuff we like, music, art style, all that good stuff. The second half will be spoilers, and we'll let you guys know before we start the spoilers. So go ahead, Rob. Just continue.
What should I say first? There's a lot that I really like about it.
Oh, wait. Let's just start off from the first thing you see when you do go to watch it. We'll just discuss the theme real quick.
So talking specifically about like the opening theme, "Wanna Renegade Down." Holy shit, that is a bomb ass intro. Would you guys agree?
I do agree, and that's one of the reasons why I started watching it. Like, just right off the bat, it just catches you. Like, it's very, like, quick and just...
Da 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 da. Hey, carry on.
Copyright.
Burn it down. So obviously, we really enjoyed this song.
I would say it's probably my favorite of the last season's anime.
Yeah, it actually even reminds me, like, there's a certain part of the opening where it kind of goes like Attack on Titan, which
Yes.
is pretty cool.
Nicholas straight up becomes one of the hunters. Let's just not even sugarcoat that.
Spoil it! We haven't covered this.
No, I'm
gonna
gonna
say yo. GG. Not Attack on Titan yet.
Anyways, I just got I'm just gonna say this publicly right now. I owe this man here because he's the one that told pretty much all of us to go check out this game and stuff. Like all this time.
To be fair, it was mostly off the name itself, though.
It was mostly off the name itself.
Gene, how did you find the anime?
Yeah, damn son, where'd you find this?
So basically, like, I was just looking for animes to watch, and how they did it was a little bit different because they kind of just released the show. Like, they were like, oh, here's episode 1 without really promoting or anything like that. So they were kind of using like word of mouth and trying to just do everything that they had in the first episode. So it'll like appeal to the viewers, and then I'm like, oh, let me check this out. So I started watching it, and I'm like, oh man, like I definitely got to recommend it to these guys. Like, it's something that's very, very impacting right off the bat. Like, nice, crisp, like good drawing styles, good fighting, a lot of killing right off the bat. Like,
I just would like to point out real quick that Gene talks about how he simply recommended to us. It was more like every day this guy every day getting a Gangsta.
Yo, Rob, have you finished it yet? Yo, Rob, have you finished Gangsta? Have you finished it?
Well, that came later. But before, like when the show was like only on episode 2 or 3.
Watch it.
Like we were playing, I don't know, something on PS4, and he just comes to me and like, yo, but you have guys seen Gangsta? I was like, not yet. Episode 3. He's like, hey, Brandon. So what you watching right now? Is it Gangsta?
It's pretty gangsta.
that's it. That's all it took.
Okay, now that we've covered all the like general points of the show without actually getting into anything yet, let's actually just do that. Let's get into it now.
Cool, I'm down.
Yeah.
So,
Ready
story,
actually.
yeah. This story takes place in a gasculum, however you want to pronounce it. It's a pretty nice word you got there. And it's just, no holds barred kind of area. You've got gangster thugs, pimps, whores, and whatnot.
Gigolos.
Yeah, this is where the weird news big gonna happen. And we've got a decent many cast of characters. It's gonna follow two, and exactly, they're called the Handymen.
And they're pretty handy.
No.
Go. So anyways, the two main characters for the most part, 3 is that gets along. First one being Nicholas. we want to get spoiler already or not yet?
No,
I mean, just give kind of like a if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so basically the two characters, it's Warwick Arcangelo and Nicholas Brown. So basically they're the handymen that Oscar was talking about, and these guys, you'll see as we go along, but they basically do favors for certain like families or factions within the city.
jobs basically.
Yeah, like
4 factions leading the thing to be exact at the moment.
yeah,
Correct.
Yeah. Currently 4 factions. But these guys aren't just like, I guess you could say like regular like handymen. Like certain things happen in the past that cause them to be this way, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
And the reason they call them handymen, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no,
I didn't mean to. I wanted to add before we go any further. There's 4 factions. They don't work under any one specifically. They're a neutral party that you can hire on, and they'll do what they need to so long as they agree with it, more of them, which is kind of funny. But yeah.
Not too long into the show, like episode 2 even, they're introduced to another character called Alex Benedicto, who's like a former prostitute. Like, this is early on, so I'm just gonna say it. They save her, and she ends up like working for the handyman, and we get to like see the show as it goes on. We get to like see like elements of her past and whatnot. Are there any characters you want to bring up that stood out to you besides those 3?
Actually, my favorite character of all is Nina.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just because. because I don't know. I'm not really into like all them.
But kind of like elaborate more, like what made her like stand out to you?
Who is Nina?
Like,
We haven't gone over it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well-
she is.
Nina is Dr. Theo's nurse, and Dr. Theo, I think, he was in District 6. Like,
Right. He's a doctor.
kind of like the only doctor that would even help like these guys, just
Yeah.
because the city is very corrupt.
So he says these guys. I want to just kind of like touch on who these guys are. So then in the city of Urgastellum, there's like these groups called the Twilights, right? Nicholas Brown, as Gene mentioned, is one of these Twilights. Would you like to elaborate a little more on what these Twilights are, what they can do, and kind of stuff like that?
Yeah. So Twilights, they can either.
They're not vampires. They're not vampires, though.
God no, please.
No.
See like all like families. Like, what do you mean? Or no, but yeah. So Twilights you have 2 options in really being a Twilight. You can either be born into it, or experiments can happen. Or experiments did occur that caused you to be a Twilight.
I didn't choose the Twilight life. The Twilight chose me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, seriously, some of their kids also have that effect.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
the thing. That's the thing.
So, so basically, like, with that being said, they wear these dog tags. So dog tags are like kind of like a symbol of what the Twilights represent. So, for example, if you see somebody walking around with a dog tag, you don't have to wait at all. Like you stay away. Like it's not even worth saying hey, because they'll cut you up or something.
But they pretty much only walk the back streets of the city anyway. Like
They're by default social
She
outfit.
still wasn't to be caught in
I feel
back alleys.
like the tourists of the city that are walking around. Oh, let's take this turn. Why is everybody wearing dog tags? Like,
And that's a cool thing that I think the show does. Through its own unique stories, kind of touching on some like real life stuff. Like there's people that they didn't choose how the way they are, and just people just like are biased against them. You can kind of like see that on like a lot of different shows, and I think that it's interesting. That's what that Gangsta touches on that.
I like how there's different ranks of those Twilight kind of people.
Yeah, I need
Yes.
dog tag. You can read a number, and I think the highest is just S, no?
it's S1.
S1, yeah. So yeah, S.
Oh, what about Zero though? I thought Zero would have been like technically the highest.
That's just, no, it's the letter / number of where they are in that rank. And the highest being S, as far as we were shown. The season's over, and that's as high as we got to see. Maybe there's some other higher, but
I know I'm gonna be checking out that manga like
So am I.
eventually.
Yeah.
I got
Of course.
I have to know more.
Speaking of Gangsta, though, if you guys can throw a big ass like if you guys have seen it already, and just like it overall, just go ahead and give us a like.
Yeah, for
Really
sure.
appreciate it.
On that note, is there anything general things you guys want to talk about, or do you want to get into the spoiler
Yeah,
stuff?
well, here's something. I felt like it was very interesting how, like, right off the bat, they threw so much at you, but they slowly, like, unraveled the relationship that Warwick, which is one of the handymen, and Nick have with each other. Like, because, not throwing any spoilers or anything like that, but you think they're the best of buddies, but things happened in their past that caused them to be how they are now, which is very interesting, and it's a big point of it.
Very, very interesting.
And as much as they seem like they're friendly and whatnot, they just get along, but actually Nicholas does have a contract with him.
Yeah. Which I find that...
They never got into it, they couldn't by the time the season was over, but...
That's true, but here's the question
they do care about each other, that's obvious.
But here's the question for you guys though, like why wasn't it just simple for them to just leave? Like why do you think they just stayed all this time?
Well, that was a general comment.
No, I said like question.
That,
what do you mean, like
that was the life they were born into. They probably don't know anything more. I don't see Nicholas being able to survive anywhere, especially because I'm gonna say a spoiler. You found the first episode. He's deaf, and he does know sign language and all that. But just the way he goes about his business, he's pretty. I don't want to say brutal. He's really blunt about what he does.
Very.
So it'd be very difficult. Yeah, brutal. But he doesn't go there immediately, at least.
True.
Yeah, like he kind of uses like Warwick also as like a mediator for things. Like if he always looks at him as like a consent, like hey, is this cool if I do this? Like kind of like brothers.
Yeah. And so also a cool little thing about what's his name, Warwick. He also has perfect recall, which makes him an amazing asset, and why this is the very basic reason of why they're a neutral party, aside from how they want to follow along their own life, is because you can't trust the guy with perfect recall to be in a high position, which he would get there from how well he does, to be part of like your top man in front of any gang, because if he ever defected or left at all, how easy would it be to just give away your secrets and whatnot? So he's perfect at where he is right now in a neutral party.
Do you remember what that thing, like what he has is called, that perfect recall? It's like hyperthymine or something like that?
Oh man.
Hyperdimension Neptunia.
It's a good game, by the way, but
that's for another video.
Yeah,
we're talking about anime.
hyperthymesia is what it was called.
But
They don't mention it much on Suits.
Yeah, hyperthymesia is what it was called. It's like the super recall and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hey, Brandon, you learned something today.
Yeah, we're also an educational channel if y'all didn't know that. So.
Educational. Alright guys, so we've talked about the general purpose, the general plot of the anime and whatnot, general stuff and stuff like that. Now we're going into the specifics for all of you that did watch the show. So from here on out, it's spoilers. If you haven't seen Gangsta yet or you're not caught up, just stop for now because we're going to get really into it now. So Rob, you want to take us away since you saw it recently?
Yeah, I just actually finished the anime last night. All 12 episodes.
Binge watch it right here.
Yeah, right.
It was worth it though.
Yeah, totally worth it. It starts out where the handyman, Nick and Warwick, they actually save this prostitute named Alex Benedicto. Can't figure out if she's Hispanic or Italian or not.
We'll go with Italian and just move on.
Italian it is.
I don't even know.
Italian, right? Whatever.
The only reason why we think Hispanic is because she has a younger brother named Emilio, which sounds like very Hispanic.
Right, and then we have like one of the big factions is like the Cristiano family, and I'm like, I don't know.
That's the biggest reason I'm saying stick with Italian.
Yeah.
Just because the whole set of the show seems kind of like it's there. So to move along.
I mean, it feels kind of like most of it feels like Italian mafia and the thing. I mean, it's Gangsta. It's talking about like actually Italian mafia.
Gangsta. Oh my God! I get the end of the show now.
Wow. That's why.
Yeah, no, but go ahead. Sorry to.
As the episodes go along, they actually talk about the backstory of the characters along at the same time of what's going on currently.
And if you missed it, there's episode 9.5.
Yeah, that's all you need to watch, really. I mean, that's it, and it'll catch you up on the first 9 episodes.
I would recommend watching the whole thing.
Yeah, but you want to check out those 10, 11, and 12 too.
Just because.
But there is a lot of backstory to the thing, and that's why they had to make that one episode, which is fine. Hopefully they can continue the series.
Yeah, and I feel that also, like, even with the 9.5, like, all kidding aside, like, although yes, like, it was considered filler, it was very information, like
Informative.
Yeah, informative. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, it was
Speaks for a living.
yeah. So
Informations.
Yeah, information. Yeah. No, it was very informative. Like it caught you up on little bits and pieces that you may have missed, and it like connected who each person is most acquainted with and where they stand, like as far as like status and whatnot.
Right. So the backstory of basically Warwick and Nick is that when I think Warwick was 13. You know, I like how his character was like his family was all like rich and stuff like that and all that. And now he's just a fucking thug or whatever. But yeah,
Gangsta, I mean.
All right.
He's a gangster parent. You don't see that.
And that's how we're gonna transition real quick into Warwick. We're gonna talk about how badass Warwick is. There's only one thing I need to say about Warwick real quick. Ciao.
I hate though at least that he's not a Twilight, like he's just calling normal.
But that's what makes him so cool, that he's not a Twilight and he's doing all this gangsta ass shit.
They touched on this actually. Remember, and this is towards the end, and we won't say too much because the anime doesn't go too much into it. They're people called hunters, and
they're hybrids basically.
no, they're offsprings of some of the Twilight, and the fact is they don't have the effects that other Twilights do, where they have to take a medicine. What do they call it? Cerebellum? No.
It's
something else. Cerebellum's familiar. Either way, it's something they take to survive. If not, they'll die. And so these people do not have those effects. They just live like any other human being, except they are as strong and most of the time stronger than your average Twilight. And there's a group amongst those people who make it their own mission to take out Twilight for whatever reason. They didn't really get into it.
Let me tell you why I think Warren is a fucking Twilight.
Can I fucking got
go ahead before I say my piece. Go ahead.
No, well, about how Warwick's like a badass and everything like that, right? I think you were about to say the same thing. I could be wrong. This motherfucker's a gigolo on top of everything. Like, in addition to his work as a handyman, he's also like, in addition to being a handyman,
ladies,
in addition to being a handyman, he's also a handyman. Done.
Hey, killing people by day and bitches by night, it's like. But no, man. No, but for real, I personally think he's a Twilight because he does have the hyperthermesia thing that I was talking about. But hold on though. But not only that, but you're talking about he's got to be strong. Got stabbed and shot out of a window.
Yeah.
And survived and gave a monologue at the end of the episode. He's like, I'm still Gucci. Let's do this.
But I wouldn't just call him a Twilight because you calling him a Twilight means he needs the medicine and all that. In other words, he could be one of those select few who are stronger, or as strong.
But hold on though. But remember, Twilights also have to give a piece of themselves. Technically, he lost his eye.
That wasn't because of that though.
Yeah, but technically, it meets the criteria. It does, but I think, from everything he's done, he deserves to be a Twilight and anything.
He deserves respected by them, but not to be one.
To be respected, yeah, not deserves.
Yeah. So this is another character I kind of wanted to bring up, which I kind of feel was like Nicholas's first major fight, and that was against that kid Doug. The kid, he was a Twilight himself.
Oh, the kid with the dreads, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's pretty badass. I like that, Nick was shown right at the beginning to be way overpowered and all this stuff, killing guys like nothing. And then Doug gave him his first major fight. It was really kind of to establish how
they were making bets on the fight, yo, who are you gonna pick? Who's gonna win?
He's like, are you guys really betting about this? Fuck, I'll get in.
I got money on the kid right here.
Yeah, but let's not even forget the supporting characters as well. This is kind of transitioning a bit here, but the doctor, Dr. Theo.
Dr. Theo.
Him being the only doctor, but he's the most OP person I have seen as far as when that counts, because he's the doctor's in.
The doctor will see you.
Yeah, with a whole bunch of the shots, and he's even to the point of, I'm gonna say, high authority when it comes to the Twilights, because even Nick was afraid of him. For example, when Dr. Theo got on him, he's like, "Why are you ruining my shot?" He's like, "It wasn't even me." But yeah, and then with Rob's favorite character being Nina, I feel she.
Well, she's my favorite because she's the most pure of them all. She's not a fucking thug or not a prostitute or none of that shit. Personally, I don't like those kind of people. So it's she's the most pure.
That's what kept me from liking Alex as much as I should have.
Yeah,
And let's talk. And since you brought up Alex,
she can sing though.
That voice,
she can sing.
Oh, so good.
Oh my god! I watched that episode. I was like.
I usually hate when people break into the song, and that was me. I was like, yeah.
But of course, because it's Gangsta, shit went all crazy when she started singing. That's when the bloodbath started.
At least people remember her, man. I mean, she gave a pretty great debut.
Yeah, and you know what? And Robert, you probably can relate to this. And like the fact that she was singing and things like going crazy, like I think it was with Warwick and Nick, like they were fighting while she was singing, reminded me a lot of a certain episode from Casher and Sins. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Luna.
Not
right?
yet.
Not Luna. Don't worry, we'll get to Casher and Sins.
That's
guys.
another anime.
That's another episode. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of that episode. If you guys know what we're talking about, like button. Anyway. But anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I speaking of that, like with the whole singing, I like the transition between like her singing and shit's going on to a sudden drop, whoa, 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 and then it just started like happening again, and I'm like, oh god, like what's going on? Like
They did a really good job back.
yeah, they
did.
just catch your attention, and I like how MacLeod made it,
May they rest in peace.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace, man.
But I
So
love.
much good anime with that production.
Yeah, we'll get there. Like they deserve like like. Fast and Furious. Damn, he said it. But yeah, he I feel like they definitely went out with a bang. You know what I mean? Like Gangsta was always sharp and crisp. Like there was nothing wrong with it. For me, like there was nothing wrong with it.
Except the ending.
Right. Good transition. Yo, everybody give it up, bro. Alright, go ahead.
We're done here.
Yeah. Go ahead. The ending.
Alright. So the ending, as anticlimactic as it was, just before that, you got introduced to the last real prominent group, part of it that isn't part of the four leaders as per se, but it's the Polka Guild, and led by Gina Polka, obviously. And so they are the ones who take in the rogue Twilights and train them, prepare them so they can also be used, like, mercenaries and whatnot. They can sell off to the actual four groups that control the city of Gangsta. And then we get to the ending where there's a conflict between them and the hunters. And you see the interaction between the characters themselves, like Gina, the right-hand man. Okay.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah. The right-hand man of Gina, which is Ginger, which, funny fact, as I was watching the sub, somewhere along the lines, maybe got something else, translation or mistake. When she was first being introduced in the first couple episodes, someone went ahead and subbed it, and they referred to her as a guy, so I was really confused with that character for like half of the show.
I didn't catch that at all.
Because you guys are watching good subs.
Yeah, I was just on another site that I normally don't go on and just...
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so the whole time I was wondering, and it was made extremely obvious towards the end, and you'll find out, certain people's sexual persuasions.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I love you.
so back to the ending. It was probably the most climactic thing. The best way I could put it was just another episode. It was good, but as an ending, it was garbage, in my opinion.
That's true. No, I agree with that because, especially with the whole, like, it just felt like another episode. Because, I mean, after everything that did happen in the end, they left so much story, like, I would have at least expected that they, with the little amount of time that they knew that they had, because I'm pretty sure that they knew that they had, okay, we have this certain amount of episodes, they didn't wrap up a couple things that should have been wrapped up in the first season.
Yeah.
Just finish the season at that certain
There was too many things. You see everything. They could span so easily on any single faction or the story itself, and they just couldn't. So what you ended up getting was a really good episode. And the reason why they love Warwick so much is the last episode demonstrated how powerful this guy is as a normal human being.
Twilight, I'm telling you.
That's why he actually believes he's a straight up Twilight.
Like, flat out.
I would like to believe he's on more along the lines of a hunter, but more the intellectual side, more than the physical strength.
Or just
The way he reads books, though.
Yeah, he just done.
Yeah, done.
Like, who does that? That's awesome.
I
as
mean,
well.
he can just
Oh,
Karma Sutra, just done master like jiggle like
He's just got stacks on end. Like,
Kama Sutra.
I know everything.
and so, like I said, it was him fighting the Twilight and him holding his ground, nearly winning. Although it did take the help of one of the leaders of the factions.
But that is still, dude. Like, I mean, he got stabbed, he got thrown out a window, and he even gave a monologue.
Yeah,
like
he got thrown out of a window, covered in glass shards.
He just like flew out.
That's how you know Warwick's a real man. That's all, guys.
I mean, he's gangster. I mean, what else can you say?
That's all we have to say.
He's the epitome of the show.
That's
all you really needed to know, actually.
That's it.
It was a good ending, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
It wasn't even a cliffhanger, I feel. It was literally just another episode.
No, I felt that it was a cliffhanger, especially since I know that,
But he fell off the cliff.
He fell off the cliff.
And the studio left you hanging. That's why, like.
Okay, so this next segment is where we're gonna do this for every show we go over, and that's if do we think the ending's good enough? Can it stay right there if it stopped or they couldn't continue? Are we happy with what we have left? Or should we have to read the manga just to continue? Or do we think it really should get a second season? Which was probably yes. And as you heard earlier, they very much left it where the story is like not even half over.
And I'm glad you brought up the whole manga perspective too, because the manga's been out since like I think July 2011, but they're only about, if I remember correctly, 40 or so chapters in, but they do it every couple months. So the actual anime is very close to the manga already, considering it's
Only 12 episodes.
only 12 episodes. Thank God, no fillers. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that'll be a different, like, what? If it makes the plot, like.
Filler episode, Warwick's Odd Jobs.
But yeah, so basically, like that may have also been another reason. But hopefully, another studio can pick this up, or fuck it, Netflix. Throw it on Netflix.
Netflix, please, pick it up.
Netflix, please.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
yeah.
pretty much we're all agreed that it needs a second season.
Yes.
Although with the current production studio, it might not happen. We hope it does. Another group hopefully picks it up. It's
Yeah,
definitely a
yeah.
football story. We know that the market over there isn't mostly geared towards action drama, which over here, of course, it is. Our best shows are like
You
Tiki
think
Sign and whatnot. And so,
You think it's getting into like more of that, like edgy and stuff like that, for
Anything
yeah,
edgy,
for
anything
sure.
shonen.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You look anywhere, and that's mostly where you're at. That's why Tula Rue has like how many seasons now?
like 5, I think.
Yeah.
Too many.
I mean, I like the show, but still, like that's
And then how like
More
Sora no
dangerous.
Otonashi had 3 and like 2 movies and all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, they were fun as hell to watch it, but you know,
Yeah.
that's just why it's not doing as well as it could have. Had it started here somehow, it probably would have still been going, and studio would have been fine. But hopefully, they get to continue, and another group picks it up. If you know anyone that can make contact with them and do that, please
Yeah. Please
let them know.
Save our gangster. Hashtag
Yeah.
Save our gangster.
Yeah, because it is gangster. That's it. That's the only way to put it.
Anything else, you
That's
guys? Or we think we about wrapped it up?
The show's pretty damn gangster.
That's
All right.
Alright, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and give us a like if you, and a thumbs up if you like.
2 thumbs up if you can.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up, 3. I don't know. I don't know how many freaking hands you
How
got.
many arms you have?
How many arms you got?
I got 3 thumbs up right here.
Yeah, there you go. Make it fine. Like,
Let us know in the comments if you want any other things you'd like to go over. One, I know we didn't cover literally everything, but we want to at least give you a chance to see the show for yourself and see those little minor details we flipped over, but they're
Yeah.
worthwhile.
and then hopefully we answered, if anything, you know, a couple questions that you guys may have had, because I know we did, and then we kind of did a little bit of research, and we were like, hey, like this is probably where they were probably thinking of going, and then we gave our
Yeah.
predictions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed.
See you in the next one.
See you later.
Laters. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Before you leave, give me that like, comment, and subscribe right on the bottom, and stay tuned for future videos from DNA. Ciao.